All right, we are live. Welcome to the FallenGiantz review. Just me and Ollie. I don't know if this is the first time. It's your first time ever or not?
No, I don't think so. I think we've done a couple before.
Yeah, Chaz. I mean, listen,
This is
people know by now. Anyone that's a regular viewer, anyone that we know, we are a mess at the best of times, the worst and the best of times, mate. Honestly, we're a mess. So yeah, it should have been three of us. Who knows? Chaz could drop in at any point. We don't even know. We're just as oblivious as you are. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But me and Ollie will take care of most of the video.
The topic today is clear on something we're both very passionate and know a lot about. Hey,
what are you on about?
Our topic today.
What do you mean our topic? Where are you heading with? Like, as in, we're talking about. You know what we got? I'll get into this. Let me just do the introduction to this video. Yeah. Yeah. Basically, a bit of a mad weekend. 2 derbies, 2 wins for the FallenGiantz. It's happy days, and London and Manchester are both red.
And so you starting? You may as well start. Yours is a bigger game.
I mean, we may as well start by the order of the games. Yeah. Obviously, United was early kickoff, 12:30 on the Saturday. I'm still riding. I'm still riding off the emotions of that game, to be honest, as well. Like, until we play Palace tomorrow, I'm just gonna soak up that win.
Did you genuinely expect it?
No, I didn't. Remember, we spoke in the group before. I was like, all good things must come to an end. And I thought, okay, we've played some quite easy opposition. City's going to be the real acid test to see where we're really at. Obviously, we lost 6-3 in the reverse fixture, innit? A couple of months ago at the Etihad. So there was definite nerves. City have been better than us for probably just under a decade now. Like, I can't go in with too much confidence. But it was an interesting game. Like, it's just, I'm happy. I'm proud of the team. We got the job done. But it was a very, very tight game, especially first half. Very, very tight. There was nothing in it. We probably had the better of the chances. City held the ball, but weren't really that threatening. I just always had that worry. But and obviously we went 1-0 down in the end. Jack Grealish comes on, makes another great impact, like he did the week before Chelsea. Huh?
Stole Haaland's goal. Did you see Haaland's
Haaland was getting back post. Yeah, exactly.
I think it was a great header by Jack Grealish. Got up, took it really well.
And obviously, when we went 1-0 down, I was deflated. At that point, I accepted defeat, really. I'm going to be honest with you, because City are one of the last teams you want to come up against when you're 1-0 down, because they're so good at holding the ball and killing off and killing the momentum of the game and just sucking the life out of the atmosphere in the stadium. But the great thing is the crowd were electric. I could even hear it, obviously, from watching from home. Carried on going, and we didn't let our heads drop, which is, to say that, what a turnaround. That's a great indictment of our turnaround in the last 2-3 months, that we did not let our heads drop in this derby. Like, it was, if you told me that 6 months ago, after that horrific end to the season, I wouldn't have believed you that it could have been done.
No, the mentality that you got showed in that game was
Ollie,
first time that I've ever seen anything like that.
They showed a stat that City hadn't lost a game since the start of 2021. It'd been like 40 odd games whilst going ahead. So we broke that stat at the end of the game. Like, they don't lose games when they go ahead. That's why I had no confidence. Last season, they came to Old Trafford. They made it a training. We'll get into your game later. About you talking about it was like a training session. City made Old Trafford their training session last year. It was 2-0, but it felt like a 6-7-0 because they took it easy on us. I would love to compare and contrast last year's derby at Old Trafford to this year's, because it was just, once we conceded, there was no life. The crowd were dead. Everything was the opposite. It just shows you in the space of a year, or just over a year now, how much things have changed. It is just chalk and cheese, mate. It's chalk and cheese.
It has, and that's what I was saying to you, like over text and stuff like that. The difference in your team now is utterly incredible, and the City result epitomised that, because where you were at the beginning of the season is nuts. Like, you're in disarray. You're in absolute disarray. And then now the mentality of your team to go and beat City after going 1-0 down, you've got to applaud that.
Ollie, that's the main thing I kept saying. I said it in the last video, is that his first thing, the key buzzword Ten Hag keeps bringing up is culture, change of the culture. Yeah, that's what he wants to instill first before anything tactically, anything else, any other kind of factor within our club. The culture needs to change first, which, as you said, it involves the mentality of the club, the players, the fans. Everything translates together. Yeah, it all kind of coincides, and that we're not nowhere near the finished product yet. He's doing his baby steps, but the mentality has already changed. He's already filtered out a few players that were disruptive and dropped the. As I said, I keep repeating myself, but these are the main factors in why what he's done is so important. Is getting rid of a cult figure, an icon like Cristiano Ronaldo, dropping the club captain like Harry Maguire, the Sancho treatment, allowing him to have individual kind of regime off the pitch and allowing him to have his own space. All of he's not, he doesn't fake, no favoritism, doesn't have any favoritism with any players. He plays who's right for that certain game, like he did with Fred. I'll get into Fred in this game. He was fantastic.
That was very impressive.
He done a man marking job in the Bruyne all game, but just on Ten Hag, he's everything so far. He's making the correct decisions. He will come up short at some points. He's not perfect. No one's flawless, but so far, unbelievable from him. I run out of superlatives how much he's changed his football club already. He's been fantastic. Like, honestly, every time he talks, like every press conference, post and pre-match, you cling on to every word. You cling on to every single word of his because
you trust him.
Yeah, you trust, exactly. Once you gain the trust of him, you kind of sit back and relax. You don't have to worry about it anymore because it feels like he's got it under control.
When you make big decisions like that and they pay off, it makes a difference in what's going on around you. So he's made big decisions and had to stick by them because they're his. He's going to live or die by them.
Yeah.
But because they've worked, it's moved everything on slightly quicker. You mentioned all of the big decisions there, and there are going to be some internal ones that we have no idea about. But it seems like that's what's happening, which is making you a lot better as a team, as a squad, as a club, and on the pitch.
Yeah, and if we're going to bring it back to this game in particular, the little tactical tweak of bringing in Fred and making it effectively a four-man midfield with him, Eriksen, Casemiro, and Bruno.
Yeah,
he knew he had to pack up the midfield for this. We know what City are. They try to overload and dominate midfields in games. He had to do that, and it worked. We weren't on the ball. We didn't set up that team to control possession with four midfield. We kind of set it up to sit back and allow them to have the ball, but we didn't allow any little passing lanes. We cut off all the little half spaces on the pitch where De Bruyne, Bernardo, for example, can have impact. Foden was trying to get in the little holes, but everything was on point. It was on point. The fullbacks tucked in when they needed to. It was tactically, it was fantastic. Is what he's working.
It was a masterclass.
What he's got at the minute. Ideally, he might not want to play this when he gets his full team together in the future. Once he's really, put his footprint on this side. But at the minute, he's working with what he's got. At the minute, that's what he's doing. He's working with what he's got, and he knows what he has to do to get 3 points. We've beaten Tottenham, we've beaten Arsenal, we've beaten Liverpool, we've beaten City, all at home. We've won all of them games at home against all of the best sides in the league. And I don't think we've played, apart from the Spurs game where they allowed us to dominate, I don't think in the Liverpool, Arsenal, City game, I think we had probably 25 to 30% possession in each of them games, and we won all of them. But the reason we've won them is because we've set up to cater to the opposition, and we've given you lot respect. Because he knows these sides are currently in a better state and position than us. They're further down the line of progression. But to get them 3 points, he knows he has to adjust and can't be stubborn. That's the key word. He's not been stubborn. I thought, and I think you said it at the start of the season, he can't afford to be stubborn. We just lost 4-0 to Brentford, and we were talking about stubbornness. And we were like, he can't afford to be stubborn and just stick to what he believes is the right idea and live and die by that. He's not living and dying by his decisions on the pitch. He's actually tweaking it tactically for each game. And I respect that a lot. Like, we're looking at the likes of Klopp and Conte this season, very stubborn, both of them. They won't change their tactics, their formation, anything, regardless of opposition. But Ten Hag has kind of humbled himself for the minute and been like, we need to get the 3 points first of all before anything. We're not the finished product. So that's what I have to say regarding
that. It's very simple. If you are able to, it's why I believed that although he wasn't a fit, like Unai Emery, even when he went to Villarreal and stuff like that, the way that type of manager plays is so tactically and it's so tactically good. Let's say that's the best way to put it. That you can tweak and be flexible with how you need to play to nullify the opposition. Now, I think that he went slightly too far, but where you've got a manager that has an ethos, whilst being able to change to nullify a team,
it's brilliant.
And what Ten Hag's doing is playing to the strengths that he has at the minute. Like you just said.
Exactly.
And he's doing it well, and he's getting the best out of these players. And that's what he's there to do. So you can't say anything against him at the minute because he's.
This is why I always bring the parallels back to maybe Arteta was you said so in the group chat. He nowhere near had the start that Ten Hag.
No. But I think Ten Hag for the rebuild job that he has on his hands.
The only thing I'll say, the parallels I see in it is that Arteta did have to adjust at the start, and you're not playing nowhere near the football you're playing now. Think about the contrast of football you're playing now to 2 years ago. It's just completely night and day.
When we won the FA Cup, we were playing three at the back.
Three at the back, counter-attack football, counter-attacking football. Yeah. You didn't have the person exactly, and I can only rightly be excited about the future at the minute. There will be bumps along the road. I said this at the start. See, there will be. Of course, there's still players that aren't good enough for this football club. But I can only be excited.
Still too bloated as well. That's the thing. You haven't had enough transfer windows to actually sort out the squad.
I can only be excited, Ollie, about what's to come when he does get more and more of his own players. Let's get the owners sorted first. We need a whole. Obviously, that's up in the air. It's a very uneasy time. You can't really plan ahead for the future when you don't have an owner at the minute. We don't really have an owner we have owners, but they're looking to sell immediately.
They're not in it.
Why do you think we got someone like Weghorst on loan? That wouldn't have been the ideal signing. It's because it's a short-term little gap, like a little plug, because we can't get anyone that maybe, we need a settlement in this club, and it will happen soon. And I think I may as well kind of dive into the question that, has been on the tip of our tongues and we've been speaking about in the group chat in the last few days. You seem to be adamant, not just you. A lot of, in the media, I've seen a lot of talk around it. It's not just you. Apparently, United are in a title race. Apparently, we're in a title. And I say that because I'm obviously going to go with the opposing view. You believe it. Why do you believe it?
You know my views because we've obviously had we should have put our debate that we had on to here because it would have been brilliant. But from my point of view, the reason that question is being posed right now is because you're doing so well. Now, if you carry on in the same way and you carry on picking up results, whether you believe that you will fall down or you'll have a run where you start losing games or not, that hasn't happened, so it's not fact. Therefore, at the minute, you're 1 point off City, right? I think it's 1 point now. If City are in a title challenge, why would United not be?
All right. Let me break this down then. So you're going off facts, statistics, how it is at the minute. We're 1 point off City, but I always say there's context matters so much within the table, within football in general. Yeah. City are an established side with the best manager on the planet. They've been here and done it for half a decade now with Pep Guardiola. They know how to win titles. They've been dominating this league for a long time. We are so early on, like I said, at the start of this project and where we came from last season. It's to even entertain the talk of a title. For me, it's unfathomable. It's laughable at the minute because it's, for me, as I told you, it's a purple patch. It will end, unfortunately. It's going to end. And it'll probably happen this week. And I just think that we need to handle expectations. I think Ten Hag will be the first to say to you and anyone that has entertained this title talk, he would say he'd completely write off. I think he'd
Absolutely.
laugh.
Yeah, absolutely. But my point being is that what happens if you do go and beat Palace and then you do go and beat Arsenal?
But the point
What
I'm
we're talking
making
about
is,
then?
I know I can't give you the facts until them games are done, yeah. But I'm predicting it because I know where we're at. I know where we're at as a club and where we need to be in however many years' time. We can't. There's a difference between fast tracking the project, which for me, getting into the Champions League and finishing in this top 4 spot would be a fast track of the project. We all
I
didn't
agree.
expect
I
United.
actually agree with that.
We
I
all
do
didn't expect
agree with
United
you.
to get top 4. We said it in our pre. We all didn't
No.
expect United to get into the top 4 this
If
season.
we were expecting a European place at best.
Ollie,
and European place, we're not expecting Champions League.
I said to you and Charlie, this is how far we'd fell last season. Yeah, I said to you and Charlie, I wanted 10 good performances this season. That's all I want. That 10 good performances to go off with playing good football and dominating games out of the whole season in any competition, because my expectations were rock bottom. They were dead in the water. Yeah. And I know what you'll pose to me. Expectations do change throughout a season, and
Yep.
I'm a firm believer of that. But they change to a certain degree. I feel like now I'll give you this: if we don't finish top 4, I'm going to be disappointed. Now that I didn't have that at the start of the season, I wouldn't have even entertained top 4 talk. I know I'm gonna. We spent 230 million in his first window, so really we should be getting top 4 regardless, because of the money we've spent and who we are and the manager we've got. I don't want to use that as a cop out. The fact that let's put no pressure on Ten Hag and we can just throw away another season with no pressure. No, I now am putting the pressure on us because we've got ourselves in this position. If we don't get top 4, it's now a failure. But I draw the line at the title talk. I draw the line of,
I think that's absolutely fair.
It's a pie in the sky dream for me. It's a pipeline dream. It's just not. It's something I can't even comprehend. It just isn't going to happen. Like this will get clipped. I will clip this up. We're not going to win the Premier League. We're not winning.
No. And I haven't actually at one stage said you will win the Premier League. But what I'm saying is, if you push the title, is that not a title challenge? If you carry on the same way.
Yes, if we push it, but Ollie, we're halfway through the season. We're not.
No, and that's fair. But right now, your team looks very solid. Your team looks quite settled as well. If you carry on the same way, and you keep, like, let's be fair, even if you lose 3-4 games, whatever, you could still accumulate the right amount of points to push Arsenal and City.
No, we can't though. This is the thing. This is where I'll bring Arsenal into it and City, for example. We can't afford to lose. We know the standards of the league in the last 5 years of the points you need to accumulate and tally up to win even push for a league. Look at Liverpool; they got 98 points and still didn't win a league.
Yeah.
Arsenal,
but I don't think that season's this season.
I do think it is this season, because I think Arsenal are going to set that kind of points tally up. I don't think you think I would say this, but I think they're going to hit 90 plus points this season. I really believe that.
And
the reason
to
kind of answer your question, then, like, that's why we won't push for a title, because I believe Arsenal will be hitting 90, maybe even both City and Arsenal will both be hitting 90 plus points this season. So we won't be anywhere near a title. I think we won't even be. I think we'll be maximum within 15 points of you by the end of the season, and that's not a title challenge.
Agree.
Maximum, I think it'll be 20 points, but I think maximum we can get as close to you is 15 points.
I think for title challenge, we all agreed on it. The points tally, was it 10 points?
What point of the season though you're talking about? If you're saying 10 points, like going into the last what?
Yeah, going into the last, like literally the last few games.
Last 10 games to have if you're in the last 10 games, there's a 10-point gap. You're just in the title. You're only just about in there. That's a lot. That's a big turnover, because if you deep that, that team in them 10 games needs to lose nearly half of them games to turn it over as well. So
I still think you could get to that point. That's what I'm saying. I think that's possible right now.
I think our level will drop inevitably, and we will be in a top 4 battle. by the end of the season, and
You
hopefully
make
we
top
will be.
four.
I think we'll be. No, I want to be in a position where we'll be the favourites to get top four, but not yet. I'm not gonna commit to it yet. But yeah, the title talk. Obviously, it's just something I can't entertain as well. Honestly, I think you're not doing it for this reason, but the media, whether it's mainstream or
Oh,
even
they're putting it to clickbait. It is all
yeah,
clickbait.
let me get this. Okay, cool. So the mainstream media or just influencers on social media within this industry, some of them are doing it to heat the pressure, take the pressure of their clubs, or heat the pressure onto our club. And it's some of our own fans that are, that are doing this to ourselves. We're doing this. Some of our own fans are getting way too giddy and are entertaining this title talk. And we just need to calm down as a fan base and be realistic. I'm not saying be negative or pessimistic. Just be realistic and know where we came from. Let's be humble and modest first before we start running our mouths again. We run our mouths just to get shut down. By the end of this week, we'll have egg on our face by the end of this week. I'm pretty sure of it. And we need to go about it. I know football is all about emotions and putting your neck on the line and showing your chest, but show it when you really, maybe these fans do believe it, but I'll only ever show chest and put myself on the line when I really believe we're the dog's bollocks. That's when I'll start to be a bit more arrogant and cocky about my club. But at the minute, I know there's a lot better clubs than us at the minute, including your club. Like stratospheres above us at the minute. So,
last question. If it was a case of playing bad football, but you won the Premier League this season, let me rephrase that. Bad football and you thought it was going backwards, but you had the chance to win the Premier League, would you take that, or would you take the progressive football you're seeing now and knowing that there's going to be a sustained period where you're getting better? What would you take?
No, it's going to be one. Well, it's a weird question. It's going to be I'll choose the second one, the latter one, as well, to be honest. Because
you choose to miss out on the Premier League.
Yeah, because in an ideal world, I'd still love to shithouse winning the Premier League at the minute, but I'm not even thinking. I can't think of the time. I'm not even you posing that question to me. I can't even answer it really because it's just not something that's I'm even willing to kind of. I don't know. I'm just not willing to talk about it because it's just I'm on board with this manager in this club right now, so I don't want to even just. It's a pipe dream. It feels like I'm a mid-table club talking about this. It feels like I shouldn't even be part of a conversation that involves winning major honours. Let's see. My main goal. Let's see if we can just lastly to finish off on United. My main goal is an absolute stellar season. Would be if we won a trophy and got top four. I don't think you realise how good that would be this season. I'm talking that's a 9 out of 10 season. That is.
I actually agree with that.
From.
If everything that I'm posing right now is obviously because there's questions going around, so we need to talk about it. But I totally agree with you. If you got top four in a trophy from where you were at the beginning of the season,
I'm parading for that. I'm going on I'm being serious. I'm going seriously as you said, from where we are, where we came from. I would be unbelievable. Honestly, it would sound like such a small club mentality, but we have been acting like a small club for the last decade.
It was nightmare. It was nightmare scenarios.
So you've got to readjust and just think, let's just take it as it comes. That's it for me, really. Obviously, the aim is just go deep into these cups as hard as it's going to be with a very, very thin squad, and ideally get into the Champions League, whether it's winning the Europa League or getting top four. I think top four is more realistic now. We've got to play Barcelona at the end of the day to get through first. So that's going to be tough in itself. So, that's that really. And I'm just, at the minute, just end it. It's happy days at the minute. But them happy days can come to an end very quickly in football. So I'm just enjoying the ride. That's the best way. I'm just enjoying the ride at the minute.
Should we glaze over some of the other fixtures then before we move on to Arsenal?
No, we'll go straight onto the North London derby. We've talked about one derby. I know we didn't really touch over City too much, and I know they're your biggest. They're your title rivals all the way through. So
yeah, I think the main point or key phrase would be that they don't look. They look more open this season. They look like you can get at them more this season than you can, and we can go into in a different video why that is and stuff. We've kind of touched on it before.
I'll quickly just sum up City before we even, because then we have a segment on them. I think that they're as I said to you, they're in a transition. With obviously the big transition is Erling Haaland. They don't play with traditional number nines like this. They haven't adjusted as well as they haven't adjusted to it. Well, their transition is different to other clubs' transition. I said they're still going to be in a title race. They're still going to win trophies, but this is not the same City we've seen. This is nowhere near. Like it's still a very, very good side, one of the best in Europe. Still, that just shows how good they are. But it's very different, man. It's not, the fear factor is not the same. It's not the same. I'm sorry. Like, I know people are going to think that's quite reactionary, but I've watched a lot of Manchester City games this season. Teams are sniffing blood now when they play them. Yeah, they are there to get at. They're there to get at. There's some very odd things going on. There's some, Bernardo Silva's always been a bit unsettled. He's dropping deeper. As Foden's been hot and cold. He's been great 1 minute, then he's not been good.
Walker hasn't been the same player.
The only ones I can think of that have been fantastic, really, John Stone's been brilliant for them. He didn't play in the derby. They missed him dearly in that game. He's probably one of the best defenders in the world at the minute. And Haaland, we've had these conversations before. Is it a net negative, this whole Haaland, like in terms of the overall kind of transfer of Erling Haaland to City? It looks amazing on paper with 21 goals in the league and already 25 plus goals in all competitions. But is it to the
think about how evenly distributed those goals were before he came along?
Exactly. As a team, Ollie, what are Arsenal? We'll get this is how we're going to transition it. What are Arsenal so good at the minute? They're a team. The goals are being evenly distributed. They come from every team. This is the problem. This is why Ronaldo was such a problem at United. I think you cannot pin more than half your goals on one player if you're a serious football club. You can't do it. It is to the detriment of your overall team, the balance of your side. It's not worth it. It's not worth all the accolades going to one individual player, but the team isn't progressing from it. It's just not worth it. And I'm not saying Haaland is he's a world-class striker. He's the best number 9 in world football. We all know this, yeah? But that's all he is. And that doesn't, just because he's the best number 9 in world football, doesn't mean that will translate to City winning major honours. That's the thing. As well, like they're in a transition where they're gonna have to find a way to work as a team whilst also supplying him. They're trying to figure it out. I think they will figure it out in the long term. I think they will. And I think ultimately he's going to lead them to major honours. I do think that, honestly. I think he'll lead them to their first ever their European Cup. I really do believe that.
I do agree with you.
At the minute, it's a transition for them. They're trying to find a way for it all to work and, be cohesive. And it's shown on the pitch. And that's my summarization of City at the minute.
No, I think you've got that spot on. I wouldn't disagree with it at all.
That's it, really, yeah. And just lastly, my solution to that, I really do think they're going to I think they should play Alvarez next to Haaland. I think that would be the best solution for them at the minute. I think that takes the pressure off him because he's another goal scorer. Not all the hopes will be pinned on him to get the goals. Alvarez will stretch defenses, take people away from Haaland, other defenders away from the Haaland himself. And I think it will be to the benefit of the team. I think they really need to find a way of getting Alvarez and Haaland into the same team. But yeah,
we'll see how that progresses.
Talking of a team that are very cohesive in an absolutely brilliant way right now. I mean, your team, Arsenal. I mean, you best described it, it was a training session at White Hart Lane.
For 15 minutes, Spurs posed some threat. And don't get me wrong, if Ramsdale wasn't as sharp as he was on the day, then we could be talking about a different game. I don't think we would ever be talking about a loss, to be honest with you. Like, I was going into that thinking derby game, anything could happen.
The kind of stereotypical things everyone always says about
Yeah,
a derby.
yeah. That you have in your mind because it's historic, right?
Yeah.
That we haven't won there in so many years. I think it's like
2014, Mikel Arteta was the captain of Arsenal when he lost one away at Spurs.
Yeah.
Crazy, isn't it? Crazy.
That's nuts. But you go in with all that in your mind and you think, right, well, they would be the team to stop what we're doing right now. And then do they break us off our stride? Because that the narratives would be there, all of it would fall together. But even with some of the chances that they had, they never looked like winning. They were miles off it. Miles off it.
It was disgraceful.
It was disgraceful. It was borderline disgraceful. It was a borderline disgraceful.
I don't know. I think back to this one moment, and Nketiah missed the chance in the end. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you remember at the start of the game they were trying to play out from the back? Yeah. They were slipping and sliding. All Lloris couldn't control the ball. Longley slipped on his arse. What's it called? Sessegnon wasn't it? It was, and Gary Neville described it. It was like they were defending on ice. It's like they were on skates at the back. It was unbelievable. It was conference level, non-league level of football. It was really bad.
Because you could tell the football, and we're not really talking about Arsenal here, when really we should, because
no, we will. We'll get
they made it look that way. But some of the passing in there, I mean, some of the long ball, it was like watching long ball FC. It was like we had a Stoking or something like that, where it was just like, okay,
that's what it was. I remember Longley and Romero would push forward and they'd be doing these deep crosses into no one. And this is what Harry Kane, who's one of the best players in the world, has to work with. It's unbelievable. Exactly. He needs to get the fuck out of Spurs immediately. He needs to leave Spurs. I don't care if he's a club legend. He's gonna be their all-time top scorer in the next few games.
But he can't do anything else at Spurs now. What can he do at Spurs?
Ollie, Kane was actually half decent in that game where he had no service. He was playing by himself up top. He was a lone ranger, and he still had a few decent moments where he had a decent shot and a good header, which Ramsdale was equal to. He was actually holding up the ball, spreading. He's unbelievable. Really, I saw the world, how good he really was. You see how good players really are in the worst of times. He had nothing. Yeah. Gabriel dominated him for most of the game, to be honest, physically and just everything. He had him in his butt. Kane was still good, but he was their only good player. They were
exactly. Honestly, there was nothing. I mean, the less said about Lloris, the better in that. I think. But I mean, look, let's not. The worst part about that was like at the end where that stupid fan came and kicked Ramsdale, which you just don't like.
Don't even give that light. Fuck that. Yeah,
it's ridiculous. So I think, but to go on to what Arsenal did in that game, it was just a total domination. It did feel like a training game. I said that after the game, that it was just, I think I said it during the game.
Yeah.
That it just, I was expecting so much more. Like,
it's a derby, it's meant to be competitive.
Exactly. You could give so many players in that Arsenal team like 9s out of 10s and sorry, you give 9s out of 10s, 8 out of 10s, you can even give some 10 out of 10s for that performance, because it didn't feel like a battle. It didn't feel like the way derbies are meant to feel, have something inside you, and that just didn't feel like it, because it wasn't hyped up to that. And
did you not love that, the fact that you were given an easy ride, by like it was an easy game? Because
no, to be honest with you, no, because you go into those games wanting that like absolute battle and to come out with a victory that you feel you really worked hard for. Some of the times in that game, I don't even think Arsenal got out of second gear.
But this is a compliment. This is a compliment to Arsenal. I do think for the majority of your games this season, you haven't got out of second gear, and you're making teams look very average at the minute. Yeah, I know Spurs were terrible, and we just said that, but it's also how good Arsenal are and how it's scary. Like, you have to give Arsenal credit about the way they're making teams look at the minute.
It's the play. It's on the pitch, like the style of play. It doesn't. What we were saying before about Ten Hag and changing for some teams whilst also having your own system. Arsenal at the minute have the balance shifted so far one way in that we play a certain way and we play it so well that other teams can't handle it. So the whole Zinchenko coming inside, creating that like inverted wing back and playing as as another DM or getting for one time I saw him over in right mid, right, and just being able to have that in your game. But you see it every week. You see the same patterns every week that you know what's going to happen. So
the biggest
give credit, and I'm not his biggest fan, but give credit to Nketiah. Yes, he hasn't got the goals in those games and stuff, but he was crucial to how we played on the weekend. Sorry, and he's the replacement for Jesus. So we have a system that's so good at the minute that, and as long as you understand it, you can fill in, and it works the same way. It's all cohesive. It's just right now. It's just amazing to be an Arsenal fan, quite frankly.
It's unbelievable. I think the biggest factor I can take from this season is I put it out on our Twitter. I said every acid test, every hoodoo of the past that has always caught up on Arsenal, you're answering it every single time. You're answering these acid tests. You're passing it with flying colours. So I think of coming back from a loss. You've only lost to United. You responded by beating Brentford 3-0. Brentford would beat you in the past. In past few seasons, they'd go and beat you and compile the misery. You've come back from behind several times. I think of Fulham at home. I can't remember. There's a few other games you've come from behind, and then you've also won. You've won when you haven't deserved to win. I keep going back to that Leeds game at Ellen Road.
Yes, 100%.
That's a champion's performance. You've won away at big teams. So you've beaten Spurs for the first time in 9 years away from home. You won away at Chelsea and made them look average at the same time. So that was a 1-0 battering. You're answering so many, you're defying all the critics that you've had in the past. It's all
everything that Arsenal was known for over the past.
That's it. That's the best way to describe it. Yeah. You're kind of just putting them to bed. All of them.
The whole you always come back to the Troy Deeney comment about us having no balls.
Cojones.
Yeah, and it's a team now that has shown that
they're not phased on it. They're not phased at the minute.
We'll go up and we'll fight as well as play good football. And
it's the perfect blend. It's the perfect blend.
Yeah.
And the worrying thing
is it's strength and technical ability. That's what you need in a really good team. And that's what we have at the minute.
Everything's on point at the minute. Yeah, mentally, tactically, everything. And the scary thing is you're not even the finished product yet. You've got a very young squad. But this is what's working to your advantage at the minute. Arteta has got them under his thumb. Like they are hit. That's his identity on a football pitch now. It is, what his team is. And
that's the thing. If we can keep those, it's hard, right? It's going to be difficult to keep every single one of those players playing for 5 years, right? But if you can get them...
You've seen it with Liverpool, a prime example of how it can.
Exactly. But if you can get them all working in the same team and you have pretty much the same starting 11 for 3 years, right? Of course, that team is going to be brilliant because everyone knows exactly how everyone plays. The less disruption you have is just, I don't know, it can go one way, like disruption sometimes. It can be really good because it can give some players a kick up the arse if they need it. But in other ways, it can sort of carry you on in the same momentum that you're on. And I just think that because they're so young, it will only help the fact that they're growing and learning together and carrying on. Because this is how good they are now. Think how good they'll be in 2 years.
That's what I was saying. This is what I'm going to go on to. People have compared you to like a B-Tech Man City, kind of taking a few of their players. Arteta worked under Pep. I see a lot of parallels in Liverpool and Jurgen Klopp more so. Maybe a mixture of both. Style of play is very reminiscent of City with the tucked-in full-backs going into midfield and overloading. There's a few little similarities in the style, but I think the trajectory you're on and the culture change is very Klopp and Liverpool-esque at the start of their kind of when you start to see their identity being imprinted onto the pitch. If you know what I'm trying to say, do you see a kind of Liverpool style change in your?
You know what? I actually see a blend of both.
That's what I was saying. There's a
I
little
think,
bit.
I think,
This is a big compliment to give. The fact we're giving you a blend of a Klopp and a Pep.
yeah. Well, because it is very much like the dominating side of it is
Yeah.
very much Pep,
Yeah.
and it feels like the intensity side of it is very much Klopp.
God,
So
that's all I'm saying.
it
That
feels
means you're on the
feels like that.
precipice of being one of the best teams in Premier League history. That's all I'm going to say if that's the case.
And it does.
Like
It feels good at the minute. Like and I
we're
think the
giving
fact
them
that
that's yeah.
yeah, I think the fact that he's Arteta and everyone that's working there to change the club really needs to like give themselves a pat on the back. I
I
know
think
we haven't done anything yet, and look,
I think
we
we'll get
haven't.
yeah. I was just going to say, Ollie. I think we might get pelters for saying they're a mixture of Pep and Klopp's.
Yeah, maybe,
Have
maybe,
this
maybe it's going over the top, but let's have it.
no. But, all right, fine. They look like it. Nothing's certain yet. We don't know how
Exactly, and
things
that's
can
what I was
change
just about
quickly
to
as
say.
well.
Like
It's just the way they look at the minute. At
yeah,
the minute,
we
so,
haven't done anything yet. We haven't got any trophies. We haven't done it over a sustained period of time. They're the
you're
proper
enjoying the ride as well as I am.
huh?
You're enjoying the ride as well at the
Yeah,
minute.
of
You're
course, of
enjoying the
course.
ride.
If you're not, you're a bit silly to be honest with you.
Yeah,
But I mean that they're the two bits that are missing, right?
yeah.
Trophies. So you need honors and you need sustainability.
Sustained.
Basically,
Yeah.
you
Consistency.
need
Yeah,
to be able to do it and consistently do it. That's what makes you a great.
I
And
think.
that's what all
Yeah.
those other great teams we were talking about before we came on air, like Mourinho's Chelsea team, that proper teams that you remember in history.
Yes, you want to. Yeah.
That's what I want. I would love for this team that he's got right now to be cemented as one of the young best teams in Premier League history, right? Whether that happens or not, I don't know because it's only halfway through a season where they look really good. We
Yeah.
might fall off for the rest of the season, and then everything that everyone's talked about over the past like 6 months or
Goes
whatever
to rat shit. Yeah.
is finished. It's finished. It's done.
I think the way that logic you just applied to, you need consistency, sustained success to be one of them great sides that we're talking and lauding Arsenal to potentially be. Same with the players. If we're going to quickly talk about the individual players, Odegaard's had for me, he's been the best player in the Premier League so far this
He
season.
has. He has. I don't think many people could disagree with that. If I'm honest,
And I think we saw just before we went live, they're talking about, they're comparing him to De Bruyne already. This is what I'm talking about, reactionary and getting too far ahead. Like Odegaard's not even hit his prime or his peak, yeah. And you're comparing him to one of the greats of Premier League history. Is like they just need to be steady headed. Like I think people just.
But
it's okay to get carried away.
Media,
but there's a certain degree to get carried away by. Like
of course. Because the media like to spin certain narratives to make reactionary comments and statements. So of course you do that. But that's the reason we had that conversation about United. Neither of us might not think it, but we're posing the question because it's being outed. So that's why you have it. But I mean, right now, on the closing statement of Arsenal, it feels very good. Winning a London derby like that, it just feels like light work. And when you can say you win against Tottenham and it's light work, then obviously something good's happening.
It is. This is exactly what City done to us for the past few years. They've made it a training ground, light work, nothing. They've just taken the sting and all kind of pressure. This Arsenal team just aren't feeling pressure at the minute. It's a fan. That's the biggest compliment I can give you. You as fans are feeling more pressure than they are as players. That just says it all. Like they're responding to every kind of potential setback that everyone keeps predicting. When are they going to fall off? They're looking at like a list of fixtures. Oh, Arsenal drop off during this little period of time. They keep defying that at the minute, and I think they go. Well, I'll close it. I think they'll go all the way. I've said this since September now. I think Arsenal will win the Premier League. I don't know when I'll get that statement officially from you. It will be at some point in the season, potentially. It will be. There'll be a point where I think you'll say it. I think there'll be a point.
Maybe.
But
right now, I still feel like it's too early to be making that statement.
Yeah.
Too early to be putting my name against.
I'm only saying it because I just see ahead of the game. I just see the vision and the trajectory, and it just feels like they're unstoppable at the minute. But to round it off, it really is. it's very good days for the Fallen Giants at the minute. It is for both.
Yeah,
You know,
we might have to change our name.
It's true. It's actually so true. You know, if we go back to the days of Arsenal United title races in these next 3-4 years, yeah, maybe we keep the name because I just find it ironically so funny that we made this really happen.
We literally made it, and then the season after, they start doing bits.
But yeah, London and Manchester were red for the weekend, and yeah, that's the end of that. But yeah, thanks for watching. Remember to do all that business, Ollie. What is it? Like and subscribe.
Come on, be passionate about it. I know Chaz isn't here to do it for you. You got to be passionate.
It is. Check
Remember
out all
to
the
like, comment, and subscribe.
Yeah, check out all the socials that we don't post on.
Check out. I do post on it.
Just be there for when we eventually do. You want to be ahead of the curve. Just be there or be square. But yeah, that's that. And what do we do, Ollie? Peace.
Peace.